beautiful bitches out there, how are you doing? Welcome back to my channel, Sincerely Sam. I thought it was a ridiculous thing that I would be pregnant. I didn't think it was possible. So I've been keeping this secret for a few months now. After I found out that all of these tests came back positive, I immediately went to my doctor to get them to check and try and figure out what the first couple of steps were, which was taking prenatal vitamins and all this other stuff. And the test that they did also did come back positive. I didn't know how far along I was. I took one of those tests that kind of tell you roughly what kind of stages you are as far as weeks go. I believe it's like 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and then 3+. Well, I took that test and it said I was 3+. So I had no idea how far along I was. In hindsight, I was feeling a lot of symptoms very early on that I wasn't necessarily ignoring, but were actually kind of normal for me even before I was pregnant. Like, TMI, but I've always had a larger chest. So my chest is always hurt at the end of the night when you undress and you finally get to relax. Well, looking back on it, it was definitely more painful than normal, but I was ignoring that fact. And there were a few other things. I was definitely more nauseous than I was playing off, but I just thought it was due to a poor diet. So we started the process of trying to figure out how far along I was. And we knew that we were definitely at least over a month at the time. So we had a lot of things to discuss and talk about because it's a big thing. You know, we still had a bunch of stuff that we were trying to do, and a baby kind of throws a wrench in a lot of those plans. So we immediately wanted to talk to our parents and get advice. So Chris was overly excited. He was very excited at the prospect of having a kid, as well as I was. It was something that we both wanted. Didn't think it was gonna be this soon. Now, Chris just came out and told his parents after we had had a dinner with them, and they seemed very excited, as well as my parents. So we told my parents the day that we saw them. They had recently moved back down from Penticton. So we had told them in very kind of, I guess, a traditional way in our family. So when my sister had mentioned to my parents that she was pregnant, she had given my dad a grandpa burger. Well, I thought it was very fitting that I do the same. So I gave my dad a grandpa burger, and they immediately knew what that meant, and they were also very excited because, again, they knew that it may not be a possibility for me, even though they knew that was something that I wanted. It was a long process to kind of convince myself that I was actually pregnant. I'd have to tell myself every day and all this other stuff. And even now, I still have times where I don't believe it and I'm like, I just had a big dinner, that's all. After we initially found out, we realized that some of the tough decisions that we would have to talk about is our living situation and our wedding. So we technically are supposed to be getting married in April. We had talked about moving, but we weren't going to move until next year. But due to the fact that I am pregnant now, we feel that this space is great, but we kind of want a space of our own for when the baby comes. So we've decided, with talking with our parents and everything else, that we're actually going to postpone our wedding. So we're still going to get married because that's something that we both really want, and we don't want to wait any longer. We've waited a long time. We'll be together for 8 years. And it's just something that we feel very strongly, and we wish we had done it last year. We wish we had just done the small wedding. In hindsight, COVID's still not in a place where we can have a wedding yet. And that's what we both want, is something that we can share with our family and not be afraid of getting anybody sick. So we've decided to move the funds that we were going to have for our wedding and buy a condo. So that's what we're currently doing, is we are are currently looking for condos closer to family and friends. That's where I feel like I'm gonna get the most support when Chris is working, and just overall, I think it'll be better for both of our mental health just to be around family and friends. So that's one of the tough decisions we've decided to do. So you guys are gonna see a bunch of videos of us house hunting and packing, if that's something that you guys wanna see, because I know I enjoy watching those videos, so that's probably something I'm going to be posting. But back to pregnancy. Because this video is gonna be really long if I don't go back to it. It's been ridiculously hard to get a hold of my doctor and try and figure out who I should be seeing, because being a high-risk pregnancy, or at least to myself, believing I was a high-risk pregnancy, I wanted to know who I was supposed to be seeing, whether it be a specialist or something like that, because of my age, my medical history, my size in general. So we wanted to check everything out. So it's been a while, and I've only recently actually been seeing someone that I feel can give me the answers that I need. But when we finally found out how far along we were, I thought we were close to 9 weeks by the time we found out. Well, that didn't end up being true. We were actually closer to 13, which means that I had been pregnant for a lot longer than I thought. So I missed most of my first trimester from sheer ignoring my body and pushing through symptoms and that sort of thing. And the thing is that I knew I was so sick during my first trimester. I wasn't throwing up, mostly because I was spending a lot of time in bed when I was feeling sick, that sort of thing. I was also super exhausted. I thought I was just being lazy and all this other stuff. And I thought I was going through a deep depression, which is why I started counseling, because I was afraid something was going wrong. Turns out I was just pregnant. I did end up sticking with the counseling because I think it's a good idea for me to work through all of my stuff while being pregnant, but it turned out I was just more far along than I thought. The exhaustion was still a really big thing for a really long time. I still have my days where I'm completely exhausted. But some days are better. I'm nauseated all the time. Like, that's the biggest thing, my biggest complaint, is that I'm just so sick all the time. I barely eat. I try to eat as much as I can, but it's one of those things where when you're sick, it's really hard to keep some of that stuff down. So I've actually lost weight since becoming pregnant. I've lost 15 pounds since being pregnant, and I'm working with the doctors now to try and work through a system. I'm now on some nausea medication and that sort of thing, just to try and curb things enough where I'm able to eat. So the first / couple of months into my second trimester has been a real big struggle trying to keep things down and motivated. That's one of the reasons why I was going so long without posting videos, because I couldn't do it. There was no way I could post videos because I just felt so exhausted. I couldn't sit in front of a computer and edit. It was just too much. So I did what I could. But everything from my camping video on is basically me pregnant. Some of which I knew about, some I didn't. So I am now 20, tomorrow I will officially be 21 weeks. And that's a lot. I'm halfway through my pregnancy, and I'm still going through the struggles. Like I said, some days are better than others. It's rough with COVID because I can't get the same support as I normally would if it were in before COVID. I don't have the same access to certain doctors. I don't have access to the same kind of prep classes that you would normally get. So I am trying to look for some online stuff that you can do, but it's a struggle. And with my cancer history, we're trying to figure out what's the best possible way for me to give birth. And so there's a lot of questions that are still unanswered, and because of all the treatment I got as a kid, I just want to make sure that my baby is as healthy as it possibly can be. Because I also found out, because of my history with me and a history of diabetes in the family, I also have gestational diabetes, which technically means that I just have diabetes during my pregnancy, but it can jumpstart regular diabetes after. So we're trying to be very careful. I'm currently in the monitoring stages. They haven't decided whether to put me on insulin or anything like that yet. Currently, I'm just doing diet and exercise to try and monitor and keep my sugars as in check as possible. So that's a daily thing. So my fingers have been pricked and prodded and whatnot every day, 7 times a day, which is great. I'm just about to hit 21 weeks. I did have my 20-week ultrasound. They managed to get everything done, but because of the positioning and the struggles of the baby, it didn't want to give off the best picture of its heart. But everything else looks normal and perfect. The blood tests that I took for genetic stuff all came back normal, which is a really big thing because we do have some genetic stuff in both of our families. So that's really exciting that came back normal, and we can just relax a little bit as far as that goes. Like I said, the most of the anatomy scan came back normal. We have currently a perfectly healthy baby. We did find out the sex of the baby, which I will post in a different video because this video I know is already going to be too long, but I have a little clip of Chris and I both finding out at the same time what the sex is. So that's really good. So I will post that video. And I also only just announced to people on my Facebook and Instagram that I was pregnant. So we only did that just recently because I was afraid of things, and I just wanted to make sure that I was okay, that baby was okay, and I didn't want to announce anything too soon. So we did a little mini photo shoot with our friend. She took some pictures which looked amazing. I picked some of my favorites and posted it. I'll put some pictures around so you guys can see the pictures, and I think they're so cute. And we really enjoyed doing that, so that was great. I know it was kind of but that's literally what my brain does these days. So let me know in the comments below what you guys want to see, and I will make sure that happens. Subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload those videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, but in the meantime, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!